Can we get a bit more light in the audience? Because of you want to. Does it make sense? There's no light here? All right. Yeah, benvindo, welcome to the second day of our conference about new ruralism and reviving the countryside. I know it's a bit early for Saturday, but in minimum some people could make it. That's great, and we would like to, Johannes and myself would like to capture the day yesterday. I hope you also find it quite exciting. We had several speakers from different countries and tackling the issues which we are facing here in the countryside, and I think we all agreed more or less that collaboration is a very important item to learn how we can work together internally in your own village or site, then to work with the municipalities together, because they are a very important power and facilitator, and last not least to cross-border activities, to learn from other villages, other towns, what can we do together, how can we collaborate more also cross-border, because I think we need these kind of networking independently of any borders. You know, Europe is anyway a special culture, but also we can learn a lot from other countries, other continents. So it was nice that, for instance, Tulsi from Nepal was here, and Fernando from Mexico, who is at the moment living in Germany, but still, so we get the feeling what is in other continents going on. Yeah, Johannes, you want to summarize maybe the workshop?
I have also the feeling that in most workshops and in most talks that we all, or most of us, agree on a bottom-up approach. So that it's us who have to start, it's municipalities, and it's the people who really have to support the government to make the decisions. If we do not start, they will not start. So this is a very important message we are receiving from many people, not only here, but also from other conferences. And I think we should not go home without this. So this is also one reason why we put this afternoon another 2 hours of free time. Free time, that means it's a kind of open space. After the coffee break, there will be 2 flip charts out in the foyer, and you can put in your offerings or your wishes, what you would like to do with those 2 hours in the afternoon. So if you have a specific topic where you are looking for people who like to talk to you, who you want to connect, put it on there, put the topic on there, and where you want to meet, and it will be a very dynamic open space session. So the purpose is to network and to get into action, to start something together from this audience from several countries, and keep the movement going on. So please put your names in if you have to offer something.
I think for myself it was also interesting. We organized this documentary with Manuel Manera, and I've found seeing now, I haven't seen the documentary several times, but it was funny to see yesterday again, and what kind of sentences he told us fits completely into what we feel here, even if it was already documented a month ago. So far, it's interesting how different generations can come to the same conclusion. So the interaction between generations, I think, is also a very important thing, especially in the countryside. We can learn from older people, but we can also learn from young people. So we have to be open and to connect to each other. Then we had Miguel Freitas here and Armindo Jacinto. So, and I was quite impressed that they tackle really some issues which we all have in our soul, the fire items and so on, that has to be done something. And I find quite impressive that in minimum in speeches, they are there, so they want to do something, and that's the reason why I think I'm with Johannes. We have to do our own activities, but in a supportive way, that we can hint, here is something we want to have, and then they can act. Yes, so I would like, if you don't mind, then I would like, is there any questions for today? If there are any questions, then we can maybe tackle that. If not, I would like to introduce Carmen. Carmen, we met, I think it was more than a year ago, I think, yes. We had an open day in Living Seeds in Schwiebach, and but I don't know how you find out, but we suddenly have visitors from Spain, and that is quite important, because that is the nice thing in Idania. We are cross-border, and we can really go over the border in short time and exchange activities, which is great. And so it's we're ignoring borders in a way, but we're keeping still the culture, and that is good. And so we visited then Carmen's place. She's running a foundation which is focused on young people who has no jobs. And we all know that in Spain and in Portugal is a big problem, so to find jobs for young people. And there are good signs now that it is improving, but still it's not solved. And yeah, Carmen, I would like to hand over to you. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Stefan. I'm going to this place. So you will use this one, okay? It's okay? Yeah. Okay, well, thank you, Stefan, and all the organizers for this opportunity to come again to Portugal and to share some of the things we are doing. Just about 300 kilometers east from here. We came late yesterday by car, and we didn't realize there was a border except by a small signal after a small bridge of a small river. So that's the main reflection for me, is that there's small borders, and many of them are just in a signal we have put, but there were no there before that signal. So thank you for inviting us to cross this small river. I come to talk to you a bit about the project we are carrying out in Extremadura, in Comarca de la Vera, by the river Tietar. But I want to give you some background of what we started and where we started to do that. 33 years ago, we decided to call ourselves Tomillo. Tomillo is dime, is the herb, and this was a decision taken 33 years ago for naming a project which was about urban youngsters. Nothing to do with the countryside, nothing to do with the herbs itself, but just to use a name which brings young people in the deprived urban areas to nature, to the simplicity of that herb, which is tremendously beneficial, tremendously modest. It grows generously around Spain and Portugal. And that was the decision. And we work with children and young so they take the responsibility of their lives, their environment, and the society. And we help them to develop their potential, to look for the improvement of their life conditions through education and employment as fundamental tools. I don't know the numbers now here in Portugal. In Spain it's becoming a bit better, but around 52% of the young people in Spain have no job. So that's a major concern. And that was the major concern when we started 33 years ago. After a number of years carrying out deep programs with different levels of early leavers, those abandoning the school before ending the secondary compulsory level. We are also a vocational training center. We are also helping them to build up their own small businesses, self-employment concept. Then we decided that nature was one of their main lacks, and the main elements they were missing. So we have a farm in Extremadura, in El Tietar, and we started a social farming project there, and that was the born of Tomillo Tietar Foundation, which is we call a sister foundation. And that is focused on youth people in this countryside. We start bringing urban youngsters and children to Extremadura from Madrid to bring them the opportunity to reconnect with nature and to find that this interior, as you said in Portuguese, this is in ourselves as well. After 2 years working with this movement from the urban to countryside, we start observing, we start conversations with many agents around the area. This is the Gredos mountain, and this is the Almanzor peak. And Almanzor means something like the winner. So it's really a winner space. So we start talking with many agents around the area, and we start on the basis of the 3 pillars. We work in every project, which are the I, the person itself, the we, the community. No matter how big is the round, there's a community around, and the planet. That means our planet, that means our environment. And we started working on 3 projects. The first one was the organic farming. That is the basement. We don't want to have a show-off farm. We want to have a farm, which is the basis for anything else. We are not looking for a business-driven model. We are just looking for a sustainable farming project. And in this leg, after many difficulties, we are starting collaborating with another organizations around, and we are cultivating stevia, the herb. And we are forming part of a bigger project which is promoted in the area by Biostevera, one of the partner we work with in the organic farming leg. And we hope the farm will be a model of how we can collaborate and how we can work on this. The third project is a senior co-housing project, and we are working to create a community for senior people, meaning senior 55, to start a community of people co-living there. And the third one, which is the one I want to explain a bit more, is the youth empowerment project. And in this one, as we always do, we work with our 7-step model, which forms part of our Tomillo culture, which starts always observing what is around. Observing means listening, not just watching, means listening, means talking, means sensing. And then designing, acting, measuring, improving, modeling, and sharing. And we start the observing phase, and we decide that observe is part of the creativity. And we understand creativity not just as art, but as courage, as the courage to do new things, to create new things. And we think that is the main power of human beings, is the courage to create new things. And that is human being. And we would like to have the young people in the countryside, in this area, observing their surroundings, surprising, wondering, trying, doing. So we decided again to partner, to look for another partner to work this program. And we find an international organization which is PYE, which is Partners for Youth Empowerment. So their name was exactly what we were looking for. It was just the description of what we put, Partners for Youth Empowerment, and we find them. That's a joke, but that could be. And after talking with more than 50 players around the area, that means schools, youth workers, municipalities, the autonomous region, youth institute, and all the agents, we decided that the project could be to create a creative community, to start, I would say not to create, to start, to promote the creation, because it will be created by them, of a creative community. They are an international entity that is working with, for many years, for more than 20 years, working with young people and with all youth workers, with people working with young people to develop creativity, not looking for artists, just developing the creativity skill to do new things. So we start working with them to empower youth facilitators and change makers, so they are able to empower the young people and to help them to develop their potential in their communities through art and creativity. And we aim to create a network of creative youth workers that will develop a creative community of local young people aimed to discover the living potential of their territories. We designed together a 3-year program where we would like to train more than 120 change makers. We end up certifying 6 facilitators in the area. We are in Extremadura is just 1 million inhabitants. It's a very low populated. So we are not focusing on big numbers, but we are more focusing on deep impact. So that's the reason we are working on a 3-year period. We cannot pretend to have any impact really to change the position, the way they see in 1 year. The model is a model where we are training the youth workers, and then we are carrying on camps for youngsters where the youth workers on training are facilitating. So there is a model where in every camp with young people, there is 2 training processes at the same time, living together. So there's the trainers, the in-training facilitators, and the young people. And there might be around 60 or 70 people around for each camp in the farm, together with volunteers and all this stuff. And then what we would like to end up after these 3 years is with this model coming from the creative community that PYE has contributed, but adapted and contextualized to the region we are working in. So and that the first round, we just took place 1 week ago there in El Theater. That's the web page, international web page of PYE, and they put the theater training just in between, one in Ontario and the other one in Seattle. So that means that we are there in the middle. And we work with 25 teachers, youth workers, youth leaders, artists. They provide us a 9/10 evaluation, so that brings us the idea that we are in the good way, and 100% are recommending other colleagues to come through. So I think we find a way to help them to find their ways. This is what we want to bring, and it's not about creating a lot of artists. It's about helping people to really create their own reality there. And that is. Maybe it's a bit short.
No,
I help you to.
Thank you very much. I would like that we have a bit time, and it would be great if we can do some questions and answers, if you don't mind, because Carmen has to leave very quickly after her presentation, so we can use now the time to ask questions.
Yeah, that's where the program we ran this first time was not with young people, was just for the youth workers. So that's the first. And we are planning to do about 3 of these to be able to create a small community out of these 75, let's say, which are really interested in forming part of the creative community of new facilitators. That means we will keep the 75 community alive. That's where we are trying, but we will create a small circle with some of those. Our idea is to work until the summer so we can run the first youth camp by summer this year. This will be about 40 young people and about 20 to 25 facilitators or in-training facilitators, plus volunteers. We have been passing a difficult time in the farming activity last year. So for this first time, the implication in the farming activities have been very little, just planting some seeds, I mean, some collaborating in some of the jobs or the work that is done in this period. So, but we are working more. What we have been doing is we have still a very, not very good installations. We are trying to improve them. So we have been opening different spaces in different places of the farm. There is a nice forest, and we create a circle with wooden seats in the middle of the forest, and that that was the part of the singing activities or theater activities, or it is our aim is to connect more with nature, more with farming. Not necessarily we are looking for the farming to be really fully linked to the other process, but just to, we were a bit scared this first time because these 25 people were from the area, and we thought, well, they will not be as wonder as we are about the beauty of this environment, because it's their environment. I mean, they are from here. But it was amazing in the commentaries after in the evaluation how they were discovering the beauties of their own space, which they were not aware at all. That was very, very, I was very surprised about that, because I thought it was, you know, you never pay enough attention to what is around you. That's one of the conclusions.
Any other question to Carmen? Okay, I
very important. Sorry? Why it is a foundation? Yeah, okay, right. Well, this, I will start for this because that brings me to the other. Well, this is a foundation because in the beginning of the project is promoted by us, meaning Fundación Tomillo, and I will back to one of the ideas that you mentioned in the conclusions of the working group yesterday, that if we do not start, they will not start. That applies not only to civil groups versus public institutions, but also starts with one people versus a number of people. So we were there, we owned the farm, and we decided to bring there. But we do not have the aim to own the community. We just want to ignite it. And the founding, we have been, we are a foundation, but we do not have enough resources. We have our own resources, but we do not have enough resources to run the whole program. So we start fundraising, and till now, we did not succeed, either with other public funders or other private funders. So we decided to start and to get some results which able us to ask for new money on the basis of some results. So that's what we are now thinking, is to elaborate on what has happened in this last week, and then we already have 25 people just helping us to move ahead. So that's part of the starting from foundation to some more collective approach.
Is the government not supporting?
By this time, we have been supporting it internally 100%, this first round, and all the preliminary, we know there are funding, we know in Extremadura there are with all education and supporting to young people is placed on Extremadura, on the autonomous regions. So it's Extremadura and the municipalities who are engaged in that. So that's our main focus. And we have been in contact with them. I think they are observing us, and we think they will collaborate in the near future. And we also looking for private funding, but we need to look for a more crowdfunding model, because it is difficult to find big funders for projects for regions, starting for regions which are not very much populated, because there's very low interest, because there's very low people. It's a kind of vicious circle. So I think the crowdfunding model might be an interesting one, so we will also explore it.
We're happy to support with any seed programs for youth for young people. I mentioned it to you. If we can really think about that later. But there's a question. Sorry.
Thank you very much, project and sharing it with us. And I would like to ask if you can share a little bit about the core team, how many people, what skills, what leadership you have in your team to start without funding and scarce resources.
That's a very interesting question, because we are very, very small. In Madrid, the foundation, the Tomilla Foundation, is quite a big size institution, and there are more than 280 people working, plus volunteers. But here we are just 3, including myself. So it's a kind of what they call now a lean process, is starting from scratch and just trying and reconvening. We have, well, myself, which I'm in just more managerial and passionate for education, but not an educator. Then we have a person which has a long track in working with young people. She is in Scout itself. I think Scouts have a very, very interesting skill set for this type of projects, and she's also a PNL practitioner. She is a master in emotional intelligence. She's more on the soft skills side, a part of managerial. Then we have another part-time person with more administrative and managerial. And she's from Extremadura, and she knows more the territory and the people, and then we are teaming with the PYE team, which in fact is an international team. They are based in London or Barcelona or Seattle, and they move around the world from Africa to Asia to Ontario. There are just 50 trainers around the globe, and they are just moving. And their profile is also a mixture between soft skills facilitator and activists and team leaders as well. They are not artists. They are not, even though they may sing reasonably well for the activities, but they are not artists. But artists form part of the community. That's one of the nice things, is we have also invited within these 25 people, there has been some local artists, people trying to live by their art, and they have been also working as, forming part of the team, and they will eventually form part of the facilitators cohort if we succeed.
There was another question behind.
Thank you for the presentation, Carmen. I wanted to know if you're aware of any similar organizations to Fundación Tomillo here in Portugal, and if Fundación Tomillo would be interested in partnering with such organizations, especially for the whole entrepreneurial aspect for youth development, etc.
I'm not aware of similar organizations to, we are in contact with some institutions in more urban areas, like in Lisbon or Oporto, more from the urban programs in Madrid, but not in the countryside activities. So, and we will be happy, more than happy, to partner with them. And well, in fact, we came the first time here because in Tomillo Theater we have some of the members of the Board of Trustees. They are running other foundations or other institutions in Extremadura, and they are very, very much in contact with Portugal institutions. And that was the way we enter, so to say, this connection with Sementes Vivas. And we will be more than happy to partner. I think we can leverage very much the activities if we are together. And as I mentioned, there is a very small, tiny river in the way from here to there and go back.
And both lovely landscapes.
Both lovely, very similar landscapes.
Any other questions?
Fernando has another. You have another question? Yeah, we are trying to learn how to deal. I can tell you another thing. When we started mapping the area, we first focus on the La Vera community, which is an area which has a name, has 19 small municipalities in. They have, when I say the name, is that they have a name and they have a very small sharing administrative services, but that is all what they have in common. And then we start talking with each municipality and visiting schools, colleges, institutes, municipalities, social workers, and we find out that there was about 11 youth centers, some of them with no youth workers, just in a space with Wi-Fi. Some of them have time on 3 afternoon of a social worker with the Wi-Fi and the space. There is a absolutely lack of coordination among them, and then we start putting on the table. What do you feel if we do something for all of you? We do something inviting people from the different and say, that's a great idea. So I think one of the ways to link or to deal with these small numbers is joining people. And joining people also needs a transport. There is no transport at all between these 90 municipalities. There is no even a blah blah car, a bit organized timing process. So I think that's the only way by now. I think a part of course all these electronic devices and virtual communities, but in this case we are talking about human communities, and I don't think we will go for the technology side for coping with that.
The transport is definitely an issue.
Yeah.
We find it also here in the region, because with young people coming, there is no car, we are totally lost.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a big problem. But there was another question.
Yeah, I was not, maybe I didn't understand it very well, or it was not really clear for me. You say you're going to get youth and try to get what is their potential, to try to solve what I understand also a problem of a lack of employment opportunities and so on and so on. But what I didn't understand is how, from those that identifying the potentials, you guys, your team, your project, brings these people towards the development and the application of those potentials in the real world, as finding a job or developing a skill, being happy with themselves and so on. So I seen the artistic side. They've been talking about the artistic side, but at the same time, is only arts, or it's whichever potential that can be developed so that they are able then to move forward. So how do you bring them forward? That's what I'm interested in. How do you, from the potential to whatever they're going to do in the real world afterwards, after they're not part anymore of your project? I mean, I think your project is just a passing stage, a moment, and then they should go somewhere else. And in this process, how they're helped to get from here, get into your project, and then moving forward.
It's not about art. It's about creativity. Understanding creativity as the potential, the power to create things, and to create things for your life, for your own way. Creativity, I mean, arts or singing or theater are just tools for getting them out of the box and getting them thinking in a more open way. We are not aimed to bring them to one particular employment at the end of the line. We are aiming to put them at the beginning of the pathway where they can follow. We do, in Madrid, we have a long story helping, training people, helping them to build up their business. And we can bring all these elements, and we can partner with another agents in the area to help them to create their own projects. But by the moment, our program is more seeding program than collecting program. We think that there's few young people there, and out of these few, many of them are either going out or just hopeless. So it's more under the land program than bringing to the one particular employment in our case. I don't know if I think we think the revolution is that it's a seeding program. It's not. That's what I said. We are not focusing on big numbers. We are focusing on the depth of the impact. Is a matter of changing their conversations. They will change their lives. We will just trying to help them to change their conversations.
Come, thank you very much for this interesting discussion and also presentation. Before you go, I would like to give you, yes, I would like to give you a dufe, which is our Idania traditional instrument, which you can use to teach all the new children and young people in Estamaduras.
I will send you a video. I will send you a video. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So we have now a 25-minute break. And after that, we ask the 4 workshop leaders of the next workshops to come on the stage and introduce their workshops in about 3 minutes, so that maybe some last-minute changes can be done. So have a good coffee and be back punctually German time